point-to-point connection. So whenever we connect to an internet, we have two types of connection. First is point-to-point connection and the second one is multi-point connection. Now, point-to-point connection is nothing but a direct communication or a direct connection between the two devices. Whereas if it is multi-point connection, that means between the two systems which are communicating, there may be multiple connections to reach from source machine to a destination machine. So we'll be talking only about point-to-point communication, which is a direct link between the source machine and the destination machine. So what is this connection? It is nothing but a communicating protocol. What does this communicating protocol means? That is, before a communication happens between the client and a server machine or between a source and a destination machine, every time a protocol or a rules are followed before any communication take place. Now, what are those rules? It is like how the data will be transmitted, what will be the timing of a data which is going to be transmitted, and what is the data that is to be transmitted. That is how, when, and what is getting transmitted is nothing but a communication protocol. So protocol is a rule. Before any two devices communicate, those rules has to be followed, and those rules talk about how, when, and what. Now this protocol operates on a data link layer. So we all know that OSI has a 7 layers, starting from physical, then data link, then network, then transport, then presentation, then session, and then application. So whenever the communication happens between any two machine, all the communication happens between these 7 layers on both the ends. So OSI layer functioning is being operated on the client machine as well as it is operated on the server machine. So it starts from application to physical at one end and again from physical to application on the other end. So on the second layer, which is a data link layer, at this layer, this communication protocol, that is PPP protocol, operates. Now, what is there in the communication protocol? At the top, we have application layer. What is happening in the application layer? All the client machine or the server machine makes use of certain applications to communicate between them. Those applications are then presented in your presentation layer. Then some session timings are added at the session layer. After that, at the transport layer, we make use of protocols or we make use of the TCP and UDP protocols to operate, depending upon whether the communication is connection-oriented communication or a connection-less communication. After that, at the network layer, we decide that what device is used for communicating. And at the data link layer, we actually make the data. We make the data means the frame of a data is being made, where what is added into that frame is the actual data which is to be transmitted, who is transmitting, that is the starting address, and where it has to be transmitted, that is the destination address. So like this, the packet which is received from the network layer is converted into the data frames at the data link layer. And when I say it is data frames, means what? Your data or whatever is going to be transmitted is divided into a frame, and that frame consists of three things: the starting address, that is the machine who is sending the data, the actual data, and the machine where the data has to go. So these frames are developed at this data link layer, and based on that frame, then the data is transmitted through the physical layer to the receiving machine. Again, when it goes to the receiving machine, first it is received by the physical layer, which is the data in form of bits and bytes. Then again, it is converted back into the frame at the data link layer. That means the extraction of a data is done at a data link layer and at the network layer at the server end. So where is this PPP connection or this protocol going to work? It will be working at the data link layer. And when I say it is working at a data link layer, which means what? It is preparing that frames of actual data, adding the source, adding the destination, making a complete frame, and then transmitting through physical layer to the other machine. Now, why this connection or why this protocol is used? It is used to transmit the data directly between the two computers. So as I said, or as the name says, that it is point to point, that means it is going to go from the source directly to the destination. There won't be any other machines in between, or there won't be any other multi points in between the source and the destination. The data will, once if it has started from the source, it will directly go and deliver to the destination. Therefore, it is said that it is used to transmit the data directly between the computers. Now, how is the data transmitted? The data is transmitted in the frames. Why in the frames? Because the data link layer operates in frames. So whenever the data is transmitted by using this PPP protocol, it won't be making use of any packets. It won't be making use of any bits. It will be the data in the form of frames, and frames will be transmitted directly from the client machine to the destination machine. Now, where this connection is being used? This connection is being used to connect your home PC to the server via a modem. So whenever I'm using this connection, that is whenever I'm using this PPP protocol, or whenever I use this connection, what am I connecting is, I may connect my home PC to a server. Now I may connect my home PC directly to some another machine at some other destination end. But whenever I connect these two computers, what am I using always as a medium is, I'm making use of a modem. Okay. Now what is this modem? We all know there are devices working at each and every layer. There is a hub, we have bridge, we have switches, we have routers. All these are what? Networking devices. All these networking devices operate at physical layer, data link layer, and a network layer. So similarly, we have a device or a networking device called as modem, which is used specifically if we have a point-to-point communication happening between the two systems. Now, how this modem is going to work, how we are going to set up a modem, what is the function of the modem, all will be studying in this chapter. Okay. So whenever I'm using this point-to-point communication between the computers at home, or for connecting any computers directly between the two ends, I do not make use of any other networking devices like switch, bridge, or routers, but I always make use of a modem. Okay. There are two functions which my point-to-point communication protocol will be doing. Which are those two connections, or which are those two functions? First is that it will always establish a link between the two devices. Why it has to establish this link? As it is said that it is a point-to-point communication, therefore knowing the source and knowing the destination is very important. If I do not know the source and if I do not know the destination, I can never enable a point-to-point communication or point-to-point connection between them. Therefore, before I start connecting, or before I start sending any data to any destination machine, I should first know which is the destination machine where my data is getting sent. So to know that, what I have to do is, the first function is I have to establish a link. That means I have to connect to that machine to know that which is the machine where I'm sending the data. Okay. After the link is being established, I have to maintain this link. Maintaining the link means what? I have to keep that link as it is connected until and unless I do not transfer each and every data. Once if the data transmission is completed, I can cut that link between the two computers. But if I have a lot amount of data, or if my data is getting transmitted on daily basis, I will never cut that connection. I will keep on maintaining as long as it is going to provide me with the connection. Okay, so these two things are very important if it is a point-to-point connection. First is you have to establish a link. And why do we do this? To know that which is the destination where the source is going to send the data. And once that link is being made, it is always important to maintain that link so that the data communication is not disrupted and it keeps on continuing. Once if my connection, or once if I have completed sending the data, and if you do not wish to maintain a communication with that destination machine, you can always cut the connection between the source and the destination. Now, if you remember one thing, every time whenever we make a connection and whenever we are establishing the link and maintaining the link, it always works in a handshake mode. That means whenever there is a two devices communicating, majorly all those two devices operate on a handshake mode. Now we all are aware about that handshake. What is that handshake? First, I will send a request that I want to make a communication with you. Then I'll get a reply from a server machine that yes, I am ready to accept your connection. Then a client will make a connection with a server. Then a client will send a request for a particular data to the server. Server will identify that data, send that information back to the client. Client will acknowledge that the data has been received. And then if a client has sent a request to disconnect or discontinue with the connection, server will acknowledge that the connection link is broken. So whatever data I am exchanging, right from making the connection till breaking the connection, all these are nothing but the handshaking signals or handshake communication. So all this handshaking happens whenever you use any protocol or whenever there is a communication between the two devices. So let it be a point-to-point communication or a multi-point communication. By using any such communicating or networking devices, all these follow this handshaking communication. Why this is being done? To assure that a client request has received to the server and server reply has or a server data is received back to the client, whichever or whatever client has requested for. Okay, so this was the introduction about your point-to-point communication. It is a protocol. It is operating on the data link layer. As it is a part of a data link layer, so communication is going to happen always in the form of frames, and the networking device used by the point-to-point communication is modem. Why am I using modem and not using any other devices? Is because I am establishing a direct communication from one point of device to another point of device. And whenever this communication is established, it is going to use a handshaking signals, as well as first it will know who is the destination where the machine is getting connected, and it will always keep that communication intact unless and until the data is not transmitted. Okay. Now there are certain services which are provided by point-to-point communication. What is that service? First is, as we said, that we are using frames for communicating between the two machines. Frames are used. So I have to define what is the format of that frame. I cannot have a frame which is sent like that only, not containing data or not containing source or not containing destination. If a frame is made with 3 units into it, that is source, data and destination, I have to compulsorily fill the values for all these three. I have to compulsorily add the source, compulsorily add the data, and compulsorily add the destination. If any one of them is missing, the frame will never reach to a particular destination. It will always bounce back to the client. That means there will be connection error or a communication error, because whatever frame format is decided, the data was not in that format, and hence the data will never reach to the destination. Therefore, it is said that whenever I am sending a data in a frame, the frame should always follow the format before it is getting transmitted from, or before it is left from the source machine to the destination machine. The procedure of establishing the link between the 2 points and exchange of data. So what is this? I have to follow this procedure of establishing the link before this frame has gone out from the source machine to the destination machine. So before making this frame, or before defining this frame format, I have to first always check whether the link is proper between the 2 points which are going to exchange the data. After that, I also have to see whether they are maintaining that link or not. Once if these 2 functions are assured, I can start making the format of the frame and send it to the destination machine. I also have to state certain authentication rules. Now, what are those authentication rules? I may use some algorithms before I send this frame to the destination machine. What are those authentication or encryption rules? I can have my data protected with password. I can have my data protected with some hashing algorithm. I can have my data protected with some encryption algorithm like cryptography. So what are these? These are nothing but the authentication rules which I am following between those 2 devices. So once if a source has encrypted the data in a frame, and if that frame has reached to the destination, what will destination machine do? It will use the same authentication or encryption rules which are used by the source machine. So if I have used cryptography, and if you remember, I have told you that if we use cryptography, there are 2 keys, public key and private key. Okay, so if I am a source and you all are a destination, if I am transmitting a data to you, and if I have used a private key cryptography encryption algorithm, what are you going to use is same private key encryption. That means whatever key I have used to lock that data or to secure that data, I will be sharing that private key only with you. So once if you know that private key, you will input the same private key and take the data back. So that is what is authentication, which is followed in point-to-point communication or in point-to-point protocol between the source and the destination. Similarly, I can may use a password method for protecting my data frame which is transmitted. So if I know the password, I will be sharing that password with you. And since only you are aware about that password, you can decrypt that, use that password to take the data. Okay, so even if in my direct point-to-point connection, if there is an attacker in between who is trying to attack the data, even if that attacker takes the data, he won't be able to access it. Why? Because it is being encrypted or it is being authenticated, and that authentication is being made aware only by the source to the destination or from the destination to the source. Okay, providing the address of network communication. What is providing the address of network communication? Now, since we are transmitting the data in a frame, if you remember, I told you there are three things in that frame. The first one is the source address, second is the destination address, and third is the data. So what are those network communication address? The network communication address is nothing but the source address and the destination address. So whenever the destination gets the data, what does the destination know? That this is the IP address or this is the source machine from where I have received the data. And whenever a source is sending, what is source also knowing? That this is the address or IP address of the destination machine where I am supposed to deliver the data. So source is aware about the destination through the source IP address, and destination is aware about it. Source is about, source knows the destination through the destination IP addresses. So those IP addresses of the source and the destination are nothing but the networking addresses which are supposed to be provided before the communication happens. Therefore, it is said point to point. Why? Because I know who is the source, I know who is the destination. How do I know them? Because both IP address are added inside the frame along with the data. Okay. Next is, how do we set up this point-to-point communication? So we have seen that we require a link to be established. We have to maintain that link. Data is going to transmit in the form of a frame. I know who is my source. I know who is the destination. I know what is the data. I have also protected my data by using some authentication method. And I'm also aware that I'm going to use modem as a multi-device communication system. So what is going to happen? Source or destination ke beech mein, who is making the connection or who is providing that point-to-point connection is a modem. Okay, so one end of the modem is connected to the destination machine, and the other end of the modem is connected to the source machine. Okay, so I may have two modems where source is connected to one modem, then modem directly connected to the destination modem, and then the destination connected to the destination modem. Okay, so I can have two separate modems, one for source, one for destination, or I can have only one modem where both the ends are connected, one to the source, one to the destination. Okay, so how do we set up this? To establish a PPP connection between a client and a server, you need to install a direct cable connection as a modem device using a modem setup procedure. Which means what? Before you have to set up this PPP connection, you have to purchase a modem. Once a modem is being purchased, you have to connect a modem with the system. Only connecting a modem and starting your internet is not going to work. You have to make certain settings, or you have to change certain settings in your computer. Once those settings is being done, then only your modem is going to provide you with the internet connectivity. And how are we supposed to do that? That we'll see now. So once your connection is done, now have you seen the telephone lines or the landlines which we have in our which we have at our home? The cable end of that particular telephone lines is matching to the cable end of your modem. Just a minute, if I can show you from the internet, I'll just show you. Can you see the image? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So this is how your modem cable looks like. Okay, it has two ends. One end will go to the computer and the other end will go to your modem. Okay, so in between this, you have a computer and a modem connected. Now, if you see, this is what is the connector part. This is the whatever is golden lines that you can see. All those lines are nothing but the connector part. Okay, it looks like your RJ45 connector, which is used for the internet. Now, if you see your telephone lines, the landlines which you have at your home, it looks same like this, but only the connector use is different. The name of the connector, that is this part which you can see for the modem, is called as RJ11. Why it is called as 11? Because it has 8 lines into it. Those 8 lines is going to function as input and output. What is that input and output? Transmission and receiving. So this lines, golden lines which you can see, all these golden lines are going to function as input and output, that is transmission and receiving. Okay, from where it is going to transmit and where it is going to receive, it will be transmitted from the computer, that is a source computer, and it will be delivered to your destination, and again from the destination back to your source machine. Okay, so the modem is connected, one end of the modem is connected to this connector, and the other end, that which is this, is connected to your computer. Okay, so the communication from a computer goes to this part of the modem, and then you'll have a modem connected similarly at the destination side, and the same two types of connection or same two types of cable will be used, whereas at one end your destination will be connected, and at your other end your modem will be connected. Now, after this hardware setting has been done, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to make this changes in our computer system. What changes we have to make? We have to go to the start. Let us click on the start of your computer. Go to the control panel. Once you go to the control panel, you will see the option called as phone and modem. You have to click on that option, phone and modem. When you click, a dialog box like this will appear. That is dialing rules, modem and advanced. Out of this, you are supposed to click on this modem option. Why modem? Because you're connecting a modem or you're setting up a network device modem to your computer. Therefore, you are supposed to click on this modem. Okay, if at all it has modem system already connected, it will list over here the names of the modem or the communication port through which your modem is connected. But if you do not have any modem set up initially, this will be blank. Okay, so what are we doing? We are trying to do the setup for the first time. So where are we supposed to click? We are supposed to click on this add button. So the add hardware wizard will appear after you click on this add. So you have to choose a modem. This list will be initially empty because you're trying to install the modem for the first time. If it is already connected, it will show you what are the communication ports through which the modem is connected. So since it is empty initially, we are supposed to add a modem, as we have just brought and we have made all the hardware settings. So we'll just click on this add. After we click on the add, a hardware wizard will appear. What are we supposed to do in that? We have to select don't detect my modem. I will select it from the list. That is, whenever I click on add, this add hardware wizard will appear. What does this wizard tells you? That you have to install a new modem. Okay. Now, what are we going to do over here is we are going to check this box. What is that box telling? Don't detect my modem. I will select it from the list, which means I will be selecting the modem, not directly which a system has told me, but the one which I want through the communication port which I want to choose for the transmission. Okay. Now, what is the difference in both? If I allow the system to select the modem on its own, what will happen? It will select a communication port on its own. So I have to go into the device driver, I have to go into the hardware setting and check which is my communication port. But here, if I check this and if I say that I will be selecting a modem on my own, what it will do is it will give me a list of communication ports which are available for communication. And from there, I can select a communication port of my choice to communicate. Okay, so if I do this, I do not have to go and check which is the communication port which is used for communication. Now, what is that communication port? Can you see this COM1, COM4? Like this, you have multiple communication ports. This COM stands for communication and one is port 1. COM4 means communication port 4. So if I allow a system to select a modem on its own, what it will do is it will by default give me any port for communication. So I have to search for that port inside the system that हाँ modem कौन से port को connect हुआ है. But if I say that I will select a modem on my own, it will give me a drop down list, or it will give me a checkbox from where I can select any one of this port. And when I do this, I do not have to remember कि कौन सा port से मेरा communication हो रहा है. I can directly know my port. Why I can know? Because I have selected the port on my own. Okay, we will see that in the next slide. So what I do is, I do not want the computer to identify. I will select the modem on my own from the name. So I just have to click on this checkbox and say next. When I say next, it will ask me to select the communication cable between the two computer, and then after it is selected, it will ask me to click next. So what is this? See, when I click on that next button, this window will appear, or this wizard will appear, which will show me the manufacturer name of my modem. Okay, so for whichever company's modem I have bought, the name of that manufacturer will appear over here. Okay, so for this now, as of now, for this dialog box, it is standard modem type. So this is a modem which has been installed in the computer. So when I click on this, it will show me the different models, whether it is a parallel cable or a standard cable with so much bits of transmission. So what I have to select out of it, I have to select a communication cable between two computers. Why? Because I have connected both the cable end, that is one end to the computer, another end to the modem, and I will be choosing only that cable for communication. I do not want to use any other cable for communication. So since I am using the modem cable only to communicate, I will be using this communication cable between the two computers. Once I select this, you have to click on next. Once we click on next, see now it is showing me the options available or whichever ports which are free. So now from this 1, 3, 7, 9 and 11, all these communication ports are free for the modem which I have installed. So I can select any of this communication port and start or enable my modem to use this communication ports for transmission. But if at all I had unchecked this, I would have never got this window, because it would have identified my modem on its own and it would have given any of this communication port, which I would be not even aware of. I have to go and search inside the computer कि मेरा modem कौन से port पे connected है. But if I do this, that is if I check this, it will allow me to set up the modem on my own, and it will allow me to select the communication port also on my own. Why we do this is because in future, when transmission is happening, if at all there is any error, I can immediately identify that on which communication port the error has occurred. But if I leave it to the computer system, I have to always keep on searching for which is the communication port, or I may not even get the correct communication port. But since here I have selected manually, I'm always aware that there is a problem with COMP1 because my modem is directly connected with COMP1. Or if my modem is connected to COMP9 and there is some port error on COMP9. Okay, so these you have to select this port, which means what, your modem will be now operated from this particular communication port. Now, what is this communication ports? Do you know what are input and output ports which are there on our computer system? We have USB as a port, then we have LAN as a port, then we have HDMI as a port. So similarly, for the port where your modem is inserted, those ports are called as COM port. So ये जो one end था ना, this end which is connected to the modem, this is called as connector, and the place in the computer where it goes, the name of that port is called as a COM port. And now what is the name of that port? Since I have selected COMP1, so my name of that port will become COMP1. Okay, so after I select that particular port, I will click on next. After I click on next, my modem setup has been completed, and you just have to click on finish. So what does this happen is, I have connected the modem onto my source computer, and I have enabled that settings of my modem onto my system, and my source machine is now ready to transmit the data. In the modem tab of phone and modem dialog, select a new COMP1 connection and click on its property. Now, if you see in the modem tab, since the modem is added, it will be showing you the modem connection, that is the connection is done with the cable directly, and where that cable is attached, the cable is attached on the COM1 now. Now your cable is being attached, cable is identified by the computer, it is added properly inside the modem tab. You have to select that and click on this properties. When I click on this properties, what property it is asking me to set? It is asking me to set the speed of your port. That is at what speed, that is at what bits per second your source machine will be transmitting the data to the destination machine. So what is the speed of your port? You have to set by default the speed as 38400. Okay, so 38400 bits per second your source machine will be transmitting the data to the destination machine via the modem. So your modem speed is nothing but 38400 bits per second. Okay, so after you do this, click on OK. Once it is okay, you have to come back to the advanced tab. Previously we were in the modem tab, we have set up the modem, we know it is connected to which port. Now we have also set up the speed of that modem. Now we are going to come to the advanced tab. Now what changes we have to do in the advanced tab is click on this change default preferences. When I click on this change default preferences, I just have to go and see whether the port speed which I have set initially over here, same speed has been entered over here or not. If it is not, you have to again click on this drop down button and change it to 38400. So we just have to check whatever we have set here, same is being reflected in the advanced tab or not. Once all these checking is being done, you have to simply click on OK, and your source machine is now ready to transmit the data to the destination. Now, if you do this setting only at the source and not at the destination, still it will report you an error. Why? Because both the ends are point to point, both the ends are using modem. So you have to check that whatever setting is done at the source, same setting has to be done at the destination end also. Now, who will be doing at the destination end? The person who is operating the destination. You don't have to do any changes from your end to the destination machine. Okay. So whenever I'm using a modem, I always have to follow these setup steps to enable your modem for the communication. Okay. So whenever I want to use this point-to-point communication, this is the way how you are setting up the modem into your computer system. Is this clear to you up till here? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have seen what is point-to-point communication. It uses some device called as modem. We have also seen how to set up that modem in our machine. Okay. Now we just have started using that modem here. But what is that modem? It is called as modulator and demodulator. So this MO stands for modulator and DEM stands for demodulator. Now, what is this modulator and demodulator doing? Long back, did you had not digital electronics? FED tha tumko? Did you had FED as a subject?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ever heard about the terms modulation and demodulation? Do you know how the sine waves are? Sine waves kaise rehte? Yes or no? Okay, let us assume you all don't know how the sine waves are. Do you remember how we draw mountains when we were small? We used to draw some triangle, so curved triangle lines. Though that is how your sine wave looks like. Why we use those sine waves? We use those sine waves for modulation and demodulation technique. Now, what is those modulation and demodulation technique? It is being used by your modem. What is that technique that we will be seeing now? What is happening? Why are we using this modem for transmitting the data? From where to where? From two pointed communicating devices, one as source and one as destination. So data transfer is happening from one network of computer to another network of computer. How it is happening? It is happening through a telephone line. Now, whenever I use a modem, I have to connect that modem with the telephone lines. आपके घर के routers कैसे connected है? You have a power cable. You plug that power cable into a power supply. Power का switch on करो, router में light आ जाएगा. फिर router का एक end आपका main socket में connect होता है, and then you get a Wi-Fi connectivity. That means one cable goes to the router, another end goes to the power supply. Similarly, in the modem, what is happening? We have seen one end goes to the computer, one end goes to the modem. But you have one more connection in the modem, which is connected to the telephone lines. That means where you are getting the internet connectivity is from the telephone lines, sorry, through the telephone lines. Okay. So many a times what was happening in the modem is whenever the telephone used to come, your internet used to go down or it used to become slow. Why? Because it is connected through the telephone lines. Okay. So your modem does not have a connection like your router. कि एक एंड राउटर में डाल दिया, दूसरा एंड पावर सप्लाई में डाल दिया, and then you get the connectivity. What is happening in the modem is one end is to the computer, one end is to the modem, and you have one more connection which is to the telephone lines. So my computer, which is the source and the destination, it is said that it is connected to the modem, but from where it is getting the connectivity is via the third line which is coming from the telephone connection. Do you know the term called as PSTN? Public Switch Telephone Network. PSTN stands for Public Switch Telephone Network. Now, what is this Public Switch Telephone Network? I have a landline number, say as 25323478. This is the landline number. What do I do when I want to talk to that person which is on 23478 number? I pick up a receiver which is at my end. I dial the number 02225323478. What happens is it will get ring to that particular number. Now I am at Thane East, that number is at Thane West. So that call will get ring at whichever place it is. मतलब वो landline जिधर भी है उधर it will ring. What that person will do, it will receive that call and then we both will start talking. But now how is that telephone understanding के 25323478 दबाया तो वो उधर ही जाना चाहिए? Does a telephone have brain? No, it does not have. How it is operating? It is operating on a concept called as PSTN, that is Public Switch Telephone Network. Do you see this big towers that are attached? Vodafone का टावर रहता है, एयरटेल का टावर रहता है, जियो का टावर रहता है. What are those towers used for? They are nothing but called as cell networks, or they are called as base stations. What is happening whenever I at my end pick up a phone and when I dial this number 25323478, it is not going directly to the Thane West number. It is first getting connected to some of these towers, or it is getting connected to the base cell. What is that base cell or a base station doing? It is identifying ke ye number kidhar hai, where it is located. It will identify, yes, 25323478 is a number which is located in Thane West. So it will get connected to the base station of Thane West. तो Thane West में जिधर भी टावर रहेगा वोडाफोन का, वो वोडाफोन के टावर को it will transmit this particular call. After that call is transmitted to the base station of Thane West, it will identify whether it is in which particular area. अभी Thane West में भी there are multiple areas, XYZ Street, PQRS Street, the LMN Street. So it will identify whether it is to PQR, XYZ or LMN. एक बार identify किया तो it will transmit to the base station of XYZ, and then XYZ will connect to that particular landline number which is located in that particular building. So this is how the communication is happening via the telephone lines. So अभी आपका जो phone भी है, mine is Vodafone, your is Airtel. Now still when I dial your number, Vodafone is accepting your calls, it is asking me to call you. How is this happening? Vodafone, my call is getting connected to the cell of Vodafone. It is identifying that to which network it has to connect. Then it will get connected to the Airtel network. Then Airtel will identify where is that person, and then it will get transmitted. So this is how via multiple networks your call is getting transmitted. So this is how your PSTN, that is Public Switch Telephone Network. Why it is called as Public Switch? Because it is switching between the multiple networks before it reaches or before the call rings to the destination phone. Therefore, it is called as Public Switch Telephone Network. So whichever your telephone lines are, आपका landline भी जो है, it is working in the same way. It does not have any connection like Vodafone, Airtel or like this, but those directories are maintained for the phone numbers. And via those directories, your network is getting switched from source to the destination. So your modem, which is connected to this telephone network, what is happening is through those network on which my telephone line is connected, that network is providing the connectivity to the modem. ठीक है? What do you mean by service provider? आपका इंटरनेट कनेक्शन आप घर में लाते हो तो यू टेल मी कि हाँ सर्विस प्रोवाइडर कौन सा है, देन आई टेल मेरा हैथवे है, ब्रॉडवे है, दिस एंड दैट. So what are those? Those are the service provider. What are those service provider? The person or the company which provides you with the service. My mobile phone service provider is Vodafone. For you, it may be Airtel. So this means what? The company Airtel is providing you with the network service, right? So similarly in modem, who is providing the network service? It is provided by these telephone networks. Which are those telephone networks? It is nothing but those PSTN, okay, public switch telephone networks. So जो भी network को वो telephone connected है, वो network modem को internet connectivity दे रहा है, okay. Now once that network service is received by modem, how is this modem functioning? It functions or it performs two work. Which are those two functions? Modulator and demodulator. What is modulator going to do? It converts digital mode to analog mode. Now if you see, I have told you कि modem is connected to telephone. अभी telephone पे हम क्या बात करते हैं? We talk on voice. ठीक है, voice is getting exchanged. No, I speak something, you also speak something. Am I transmitting any digital data? No. Can I send some packet over the telephone lines? No. What is your telephone line used for? It is used only for voice communication. What is voice communication called? Voice communication is called as analog. But what is your computer doing? Computer is using your digital communication. That means it is transmitting the data in form of zeros and ones. So now what I have done is I have connected modem, which is analog, to the computer system, which is digital, correct? Or I have connected a telephone line to the modem and modem is connected to the computer. तो कंप्यूटर को तो डिजिटल समझता है, टेलीफोन को एनालॉग समझता है. तो एनालॉग टू डिजिटल एंड डिजिटल टू एनालॉग कन्वर्जन, हु इज डूइंग? इट इज द मॉडेम व्हिच इज doing this conversion between those telephone line का analog data and computer का digital data. So modem which is functioning as modulator, what is that modulator going to do? जो भी digital data computer से आया, it will convert it into analog data and then it will transmit to the transmitting end. If it is demodulator, what it will do is it will convert your, sorry, can you see that slide? So what is your demodulator going to do? Your demodulator will be converting your analog data to the digital data. So your modem function as digital to analog, analog to digital conversion. Telephone से analog data आया, it will reach to modem. Modem will activate its demodulator, convert that analog data into digital data, and it will send it to the computer. Computer is going to send a digital data to the modem. Modem will activate its modulator, convert that digital data into analog, and then transmit it to the telephone. This will happen at the source end. Similarly, when destination wants to transmit to the source machine, first destination is also connected to modem. Destination modem is also connected to a telephone line. So telephone ka data, which is analog, will be received to the modem. Modem will convert it into digital data and give it to the destination machine. Again, destination machine will activate the modulator through that modem, convert the digital data to analog data, and then transmit that directly to the modem of the source machine. Are you understanding what is happening? Yes or no?
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
all everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
At both the ends, I have one computer, one modem, one telephone line. ठीक है? Communication कैसे होगा? टेलीफोन लाइन से कंप्यूटर, कंप्यूटर से मॉडेम, मॉडेम से टेलीफोन लाइन, टेलीफोन लाइन से मॉडेम, मॉडेम से वापस कंप्यूटर. आई रिपीट अगेन. At both the ends, that is source and destination, source के पास एक कंप्यूटर है, एक मॉडेम है, एक टेलीफोन लाइन है. डेस्टिनेशन के भी पास एक टेलीफोन है, एक कंप्यूटर है, एक मॉडेम है. सोर्स कैसे काम करेगा? टेलीफोन, उसके पास जो टेलीफोन है, दैट टेलीफोन विल सेंड द डेटा टू मॉडेम, मॉडेम विल सेंड द डेटा टू कंप्यूटर, कंप्यूटर विल send that data on the modem. Source का modem will transmit the data to destination का modem. Since if it is digital, it will first convert into analog, send it to destination का telephone. Destination का telephone will then again send back to the modem. Modem will convert it into digital and send it to the destination machine. So though it is said it is point to point via a modem, but still that analog and digital conversation is there because I have involved telephone lines in between. Because if there is no telephone lines, your modem will only not work. Therefore, I have to connect my telephone network to my computer system by using that modem as a medium. Are you all understanding? So see, this is how your system will work and this is how your modulation and demodulation will be done. What is modulation doing? Converting digital to analog. Demodulation is analog to digital. तो ये कंप्यूटर है, ये कंप्यूटर ने क्या भेजा? डिजिटल सिग्नल भेजा है, क्योंकि कंप्यूटर को तो डिजिटल ही समझ में आता है. सो इट विल सेंड डेटा इन जीरोस एंड वंस. What will this modem do? Modem is connected to the telephone line. तो ये modem को डिजिटल डेटा समझेगा क्या? नहीं समझेगा. तो वो क्या करेगा? It will convert this digital data into analog. ठीक है, एनालॉग कम्युनिकेट करने के बाद ये एनालॉग डेटा किधर जाएगा? दीज एनालॉग सिग्नल्स थ्रू द टेलीफोन लाइंस विल गो टू दिस मॉडेम. अभी ये मॉडेम को वो एनालॉग डेटा किसको देना है? कंप्यूटर को देना है. बट कंप्यूटर को एनालॉग समझ रहा है क्या? नहीं समझ रहा है. सो व्हाट विल दिस मॉडेम डू? इट विल डू demodulation, दैट इज कन्वर्टिंग इट इनटू it will do modulation, converting it into the digital data, and then this digital signals will be sent to the computer. Okay, so modems can understand only this analog signals. Why they understand analog signal? Because they are connected to the telephone lines. But since this computer is not understanding analog, therefore we have used the modulation and demodulation technique so that the analog signals are converted into digital and then the digital signals are received by the computer. Clear? Understood the working of modulator?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now these are the packets, how the data is getting transmitted. Now what is there in the packet? You have a data, you have a start bit and you have a stop bit. Now in between the start bit and stop bit, you have a source and a destination address also. So you have source address where it is going to start and you have a destination address where it is going to stop. And you have a 8-bit of a data. Okay, similarly, you have the same packet which is received at the destination machine also. So when I send this packet, same packet is received as it is to the destination, which will tell me from where the data was started, that which is the network address of source, what is the network address of destination, and what is the 8-bit of data which is transmitted. Okay. So start bit and stop bit contains the network address also, and the start and stop means the data set to 1 bit means whenever the data has sent from the source machine, the bit is set to 1, and whenever it is received at the destination machine, this bit will be set to 0. Okay, so it is a 10-bit of data frame, the frame which we were talking here initially. This frames transmitted in frames. These frames are nothing but the packets of 10 bits which will be transmitted from the source to the destination, which will have the start bit, stop bit, which is nothing but the starting and the destination address, along with the data which is transmitted. Okay. Now next is the different types of computer modem. Now we have onboard modem, internal modem, external modem, and removable modem. Now what is this external and removable modem? They both are same, which means we are going to connect them externally with the separate cable and separate connector. So the connector and the cable which we just saw were the examples of the external modem and the removable modem. Okay, that means I'm connecting externally. Where I connect it to the comp mode, and once since I can attach and detach, that is plug and play, I call it as a removable modem also. Now what is this onboard modem? Onboard modem means it comes along with the system itself. That means it is installed in the system. How we have LAN card installed in our system, similarly we have modem also installed in the system. So I am getting the connection on the board itself, therefore they are considered to be as a onboard modem. So in that case, I do not have to purchase externally and connect it externally. So those are onboard modem. What do you mean by internal modem? Internal modem means I have a modem card and I'm connecting that modem card on my motherboard, and then I'm providing the internet connectivity. If you remember, we in the CPM, we had seen different types of cards: sound card, LAN card, graphics card, modem card, network cards. Where are these cards inserted? They are inserted into the PCI slot of your motherboard. So when I purchase such modem card or network card, and when I put it inside the PCI slot of my motherboard, and when I put my motherboard inside the system, and when I start operating, I call it as a internal modem. Onboard means what? System के अंदर है. I have not purchased those cards and I have inserted. System में inbuilt ही है वो modem facility. Okay, but internal is what? I have purchased the card and I have fixed it inside the modem, inside the PCI slot. Therefore, it is called as internal modem. And external and removable means what? I have purchased the entire device. It is not the card and it is not inside the system also, but I have purchased a device which is just like a router. I have made the connection with the cables that we just saw, and therefore it is called as removable or external. Okay, so onboard means मैंने कुछ नहीं करना है. I just have to start the system, get the internet connectivity and use the modem. If it is internal modem, I have to purchase the card, put it inside the PCI slot of motherboard and then use. If it is external, purchase the entire device with all the cables and all, put it inside the system, make all the hardware settings that we just did, and then use a modem. Okay, so these are the different types of modems. Now tomorrow we'll be starting with the leased line access and the dial-up access. Okay, so what we have seen today is point-to-point connection, which is provided through modems. We have seen how to make a modem setup in our system by purchasing the unit of modem, and we also know now what is the function of a modem, why it is used. Since computer is understanding digital data, since the modem is providing the analog data, so just for the conversion from digital to analog and analog to digital, I'm using this modem service. And since I cannot use any other networking devices for point-to-point connection, therefore I have to compulsorily make use of modem. Is that clear up till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so give me your attendance. At what time we are meeting for the test? Meet.
Yes, ma'am.
Nikunj.
Yes, ma'am.
Chris. Chris. Yash H.
Present, ma'am.
Shivam. Darshil.
Present, man. Present.
Paris.
Present, ma'am.
Harsh.
Present, ma'am.
Parva.
Present, ma'am.
Atharva.
Present, ma'am.
Sakshi. Falak.
Present, ma'am.
Falak. Shubh.
Present, ma'am.
Omkar.
Present, ma'am.
Tejasvi.
Present, ma'am.
Om. Om. Om was there. Amol. Abdul. Jeet. Yash Kulkarni. Rushank. Smith.
Present, ma'am.
Atharva.
Present, ma'am.
Yash. Anuj. Yash present. Anuj. Mustafa.
Present, ma'am.
Supripa.
Present, ma'am.
Sweta.
Present, ma'am.
Krish. Present. Dhruv.
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Darshan.
Present, ma'am.
Bhavik. हाँ. Bhavik. Absent. Tejas.
Present, ma'am.
Jaini. Jainam.
Present, ma'am.
Jay Vaishnavi.
Present, ma'am.
Soham Kulashri.
Present, ma'am.
Jalpriya.
Present, ma'am.
Jaivik.
Present, ma'am.
Huzefa. Sonu. Huzefa absent. Sonu present. Parth. Jayesh.
Present.
अरे बाप रे. आदित्य. हाँ. Okay. Umesh.
हाँ, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Kulashri, I have marked you present. Kayush present. Nisha.
Present, ma'am.
Jui Aditi,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Pranjali Aditya,
Present, ma'am.
Neerav Ali,
Present, ma'am.
Nishta, Danish, Shreyas,
Present.
Ramesh,
Present, ma'am.
Jay,
Present, ma'am.
Vivek, Prathamesh,
Present.
Gurkirat,
Present, ma'am.
Rituja,
Present, ma'am.
Nehal,
Present, ma'am.
Viral, Mayur,
Present, ma'am.
Sakshi, Shubham,
Present,
Yash,
ma'am.
Yash,
Present, ma'am.
Nikun, Sakshi,
Present,
Nikunj,
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Sakshi, absent. Sanskar, Siddesh, Kiran.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. At what time I have kept test?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. Okay. See you all at 12. Bye.